That's amazing to me, but that's true. There's a lot of people who get the minimum protection because they focus on the cost. I want to put as little into this as possible, thinking for some reason I would be excluded from having that accident. Well, none of us are uh, excluded from the opportunity to have a problem. All of us will experience ups and downs in life. All of us are exposed to high risk just by getting out of bed every day. So what we look at here is we got to know, how do these pieces relate? So you mentioned auto insurance and homeowners insurance. What in the world does that have to do with wealth creation? It's got everything to do with wealth creation. If I don't have homeowners insurance and my home burns down, then I have to reach into my savings and investments to rebuild a house. Or I have to go get another mortgage, and I may not qualify for that mortgage because I had a mortgage on it already. And so what we have to do is protect future assets. So also from liability, what if we get sued?
Yep.
So you don't get do-overs when you get disabled. When you die, you might get a do-over if you have a car accident or you get sick, if you have ways to recover. And recovery takes time. So having protection around those would be a wise thing. You mentioned gambling a moment ago. Some of the people I know who are professional blackjack players, they're not really gamblers because they have a system.
Yeah.
But the rest of us are, because we don't have a system. They also buy insurance to limit their losses.
Interesting. They buy gambling insurance?
Yeah, you can do it right there on the board in blackjack. You can buy insurance. You can lose half as much based on certain circumstances happening. So that's a form of knowing how to play the game. This game board, this model that we use is, to me, a lot like Monopoly as well. Most people in life who don't know how to play the game are just going around the board, collecting their $200 and trying to stay out of jail. And that's really it. When you know how to play the game, then you know what the power of the pieces are. You know the open, you know how to close, you know how to win. But there's something that's real important. We didn't really talk about this last time, so I'm going to tell a story. And it's called It All Goes Back in the Box. And the story was told by a pastor in Alabama. I don't remember his name, but he's telling me about this kid who's every summer he would go live with his grandmother. I don't know why he had to go live with his grandmother this summer, but in the summers he spent the time at his grandmother's, and she would always play Monopoly with him. And she'd always win. As he's getting older, he's getting a little more macho. He wanted to win. There's just one summer, he said, I'm prepared to win. I'll do whatever it takes to win this summer. So they played Monopoly, a few days worth of Monopoly, and he wins. He finally wins. He's got all the pieces on the board. He stands up, he's dancing, he's pounding his chest. I win, I win, I win. Ha, 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 I win. He's celebrating. She's letting him celebrate. She said, I got one more lesson for you. He said, what's that? She said, it all goes back in the box. Got real quiet. He looked at her and said, what do you mean? I won. I don't want to put it back in the box. I got all this stuff. She said, it all goes back in the box. So as we look at our life, one of the things you and I talked about at the beginning, I have a statement that says we all live until we don't. And one of the things that's very true about our life is it is all going to go back in the box. I'm leaving everything here when I leave this earth. Now, I can do things with documents. I can do things with protection that makes life better for those I leave behind, or charities I care about, or building the kingdom of God through the way we structure things and who we give to and how we continue to give beyond here. But it all goes back in the box. So we have to be great stewards of what we have for us and for those that we leave behind. And I don't think that's something I think that's a obligation and something that I feel is very important in my life. I can't force that on other people, but I'm always going to ask, how important is that to you, that your great grandkids know that they came from someone special like you? Yeah. And so I get choked up talking about that story sometimes, but just remember it all goes back in the box.
It's a great perspective. And when you're faced with your death, people tend to make different decisions, and most of those decisions tend to be more selfless and legacy based when you just understand that, hey, you're not going to last forever. Is it possible that the inputs on this earth could matter to the next generation, and in some cases a lot longer than the next generation?
How old are you?
I'm 30 years old.
30 years old. I'm 61 years old. And so one of the things that my wife and I are seeing all the time now. She brought this up to Brock, my son, on the phone yesterday. We're going to ball games, watching my youngest son play. Most of our friends are 60, 65, 55, that range. And they always ask, what do we do? What does Brock do? Those type things. And we talk to them about legacy planning, saving taxes and insurance and those things. He said, man, I sure wish I had insurance that's going to be there for the rest of my life. We bought that term stuff so that it was cheaper at the time. And now we don't have any. And now my health's not so good. And now it looks like I'm going to live longer, but quality of life not be as great because I didn't prepare as well. I wished I had done this sooner. We hear that over and over and over again. I get to now look with hindsight to say that, where others are your age are looking into the future about what can I do? What will I do? But until you have that end part right, to where you protect for the end part on this earth and then beyond, when those are right, then that gives you the permission to live now and to get more value from the things you accumulate.
That's good. That's really good. Okay. So you look at their model and you start protection first.
Yep. Start with protection first. On the particular model we're looking at now, we have I'm going to hit something here. I hope it's called a snapshot. And it gives me some ways to change the colors of the boxes. So I'm looking right off the beginning, auto and homeowners insurance. And we noticed that there are different deductibles. There's $500 deductible on the car and $1,000 on the home. If they have money in savings, they literally could afford to lower their premium to pay a $500 claim on an auto accident. If they hadn't had any in the last 3 years, probably not likely in the next 3 years. So what if we raise the deductible on their auto insurance, which would lower their premium that they were required to pay, and then use the premium to buy personal umbrella liability coverage? So in the very first row of protection, opening conversation, we want to optimize protection, maximize protection, but with no additional expense. We better utilize the positioning of the total. So now that protects my assets better, that protects my income better. Can you think of any reason why you shouldn't do that?
Better protection in some cases for cheaper. Sign me up.
And if we can do that, then why shouldn't we use that same theory through the rest of the model?
Great.
Okay. And that's the concept of no additional expense, optimizing benefits and money supply at the same time. So then we would walk through, and I would just put a red warning button around the areas where I see deficiency. So we might put a yellow around the auto just because they don't have enough liability protection based on their income and their assets. This person makes $300,000. They have total assets saved of $700,000, but there's a couple of things I didn't include in there that should be on there. But what we're doing is we want to make sure all of their assets are protected, all their income's protected. As we walk through a little further, this person's got group insurance, which is great, but $8,000 a month on a $25,000 income per month, because he earns $300,000, that's the max that the policy would pay. And it's also taxable because it's a group plan where the employer's paying for it. So if they do get receipt of that, the benefit of $8,000, which is phenomenal, they have something, comes in, but now it's going to be taxed as ordinary income because they didn't pay for any of it. The corporation did. A lot of people don't know about that. So we look for ways, answering that question you had earlier, how do we get the most that we can get for as long as we can get it covered with the least amount of cost, tax? So we might put a yellow around there. And then we look at their will and trust. They have a will, but we haven't read the will yet, so we don't know what's included. This particular person has term insurance, and at the time they bought this, they bought $1 million. They felt good about $1 million. This person is 35 years old, earns $300,000. It's barely 3 years worth of income replacement. Got 2 young kids, a wife who's right now a home manager, household manager. Not likely that the wife could step right in and start earning $300,000 a year. So when we asked the question earlier about the income you would like to have continue if you're disabled, the same thing would be true for economic life value for life insurance. So I would ask them that. I'd probably put a red button around it.
How would you ask that question?
I would say if you were to lose your income first from disability and you could never go back to work, how much of your current income would you want replaced and for how long?
And probably almost all the answers are as much as I possibly can for as long as I possibly can.
It's 100% the answer every time I've asked it.